Hey everyone, welcome to the 21st and final episode in my series of tutorials for complete beginners on the piano. It's been kind of an epic journey, yeah? We started back in December 2016 and I'm really pleased that so many of you have stayed the distance and got so much out of these tutorials. But even though it's the end of the series, it is not the end of the journey. I want you to keep working on your piano skills, and in today's tutorial we're going to look at ways that you can do that. I'm certainly going to keep making tutorials. There's going to be stuff coming up like there always is on piano improvisation, on songwriting, on music theory, all the kind of things that usually appear on my YouTube channel. That's going to keep coming. Every now and then I'm also going to be making kind of a top-up beginners tutorial to help you guys keep on track, and in those I'll be going through pieces, looking at exercises, just to kind of help you stay on the right path in your learning. Just before we get on with today's tutorial, I also want to offer very big thanks to everyone who has helped and supported the series. I've had an enormous amount of encouragement and feedback, loads of comments from people. That's all been really useful. Particular thanks to everyone who supports me on patreon.com, the crowdfunding website. Even those of you who just support me kind of to the tune of $1 or $2 per tutorial, that makes a big difference. It's really helped me set time aside to make these beginners tutorials. Obviously, I'm still making tutorials, so please do keep supporting me on Patreon. And if you're not currently a Patreon supporter, go and check out patreon.com/Bill Hilton to find out more. Even if you just chip in, as I said, kind of a few dollars a month, then it really makes a difference. And you get some pretty cool rewards. You get previews and freebies and stuff like that. So do go and check out patreon.com/Bill Hilton. Okay, on with the tutorial. Today, as I said, we're going to be looking at things you can do from here on in, as it were, that will help to keep you on a good piano learning path. Let's get going. The first thing you need to do, your number one priority, is not to rest on your laurels. If you've got this far in the series, it's probably because you've had really good practice discipline. Now give yourself a pat on the back for that, but don't let it slip. If you don't already have one, consider setting a practice schedule. And remember what I said earlier in the series, when it comes to piano practice, little and often is best. It's much better to do just 15 or 20 minutes every single day of the week than it is to do a solid block of 2 or 3 hours once a week. You're probably getting to the stage now, both in terms of your engagement with the instrument and your hand strength, that you can actually take on slightly longer practice sessions if you want to, half an hour, 40 minutes or whatever. If so, that's great and it'll help you make progress maybe a bit quicker, but don't get away from that basic idea of doing at least a little bit every day. And make sure that you have good practice habits. It's always tempting to spend loads of time on the stuff you enjoy and skimp on the stuff you don't enjoy. If you notice yourself doing that, grit your teeth and do some of the stuff that seems dull. For most people, including me, that means scales, okay? So sometimes just focus on the stuff you don't want to do. Also, when you're practicing, remember to focus in on the bits that you can't play rather than just playing the stuff you can play over and over. So if you're working on a 2-page piece and you can play it all perfectly apart from one bar, then set aside a single practice session just to work on that bar. Don't waste your time playing over and over again through the stuff that you can already play. Focus in on the difficult bits. Your motto should always be attack the problem. The second thing you need to do is to keep focusing on the quality of the sound you make and your touch and your control on the piano keyboard. That stuff is just as important as knowing which note to play when. In fact, really it's more important, because it's pointless learning to play a really complex piece if you can't put musicality and expression into it. Playing the piano well is about much more than just pressing the right buttons at the right time, okay? Now that means listening to yourself, and you'll remember how I've harped on and on in this series about how easy it is not to listen to yourself playing the piano. Listen to yourself and focus on things like scales that help you with your control. When you're practicing your scales, don't just work on them mechanically, focus on the things I've talked about, like smoothness and evenness and control. And remember that playing your scales with perfect smoothness and control and all the rest of it is actually incredibly difficult, but that's the idea you should always be aiming for, yeah? Try to iron out that thumping where the thumb goes over, okay? It's really hard, but even if you never really achieve perfection, just working on that will give you much better touch and control. The third thing you need to do is find more music to work on. Now, I've already talked about this quite a bit, and I've mentioned that you can find quite a lot of free sheet music if you're prepared to hunt through the archive over at imslp.org. But an even better bet might be to get yourself to your local music store and have a flick through some of the easier piano music that they have in stock. For now, go for stuff that's actually been written for the keyboard. A lot of so-called piano sheet music is actually just kind of arrangements of pop songs and show tunes and other non-piano pieces, and often it's not that well done. It's kind of not written with the piano in mind. The fingering can be awkward, it can be difficult to read or dispiriting to play or whatever. So aim for things that have either been written for the piano or written for other instruments but arranged for piano by someone who really knows what they're doing. That's probably going to mean a good mix of classical stuff, which is good because classical piano pieces will teach you all the techniques you need for smooth legato playing, for good finger management and control, all of that kind of stuff. Now, the kind of material I'm talking about there isn't actually as easy to find as you might think. Music store shelves are full of these kind of cheap arrangements of things that won't really help your piano skills move on. You need to be looking at stuff from very well respected publishers, and the obvious port of call is material published by the ABRSM, the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, over here in the UK, and they publish tons of stuff for piano exams and repertoire for piano learners. Right now they have a great series called Piano Mix, edited by David Blackwell, and there are 3 books in that series at the moment, I think, and you guys should definitely be able to work on the stuff in books 1 and 2, and maybe even in book 3 as well. Piano Mix is definitely worth a look. ABRSM also has a series called Encore, edited by Karen Marshall, which basically consists of pieces that have been used in piano exams in the past. Book 1 you should manage, okay, book 2 you'll find a bit more challenging, but do have a look at it. You should be able to get ABRSM stuff in Amazon stores worldwide, and the great thing about it is because it's ABRSM, these guys, they set the standards. You know it's going to be good, the fingering is going to make sense, the printing is going to be clear, it's going to be something that you can work with. In addition to that, I'm going to be steadily releasing more sheet music of my own. I know I've been talking about this collection of easy jazzy pieces for a little while now, just 3 of them, and it's nearly finished, so watch out for that soon. Plus some more stuff that I have planned over the course of the coming months and years. Do remember that if you support me on Patreon, you get all new releases for free, and often you also get sneak previews of upcoming stuff. So do check out www.patreon.com/Bill Hilton for more information on that. The 4th thing to do is maybe consider having some real live lessons with a real live human teacher. The thing about these online tutorials is that I can tell you what to do, but it's very hard to give you direct feedback, especially on your physical technique. A real teacher will sit next to you, spot your strengths and weaknesses, and tell you exactly what you need to do to improve. Everyone's different, and everyone can benefit from that kind of tailored support. Now, you don't have to go down that route, but if you do, then you'll be going in with a good baseline of knowledge from these tutorials, so you and your teacher should be able to focus on developing your technique rather than on just learning the basics. I know that lessons can be a bit of a big financial commitment, but if you have the time and the resources, do at least consider giving them a go. The 5th thing you need to do is think about how you can broaden your musical horizons, okay? However much you already know about music, there's always more to learn. So, there are loads of different ways of doing that. Listen to more music in different styles. Listen to medieval music or some hip hop or whatever. Whatever you don't usually listen to, have a go at it. Try some score reading, that's good fun. Download a score for something challenging like a Beethoven sonata from IMSLP, and then try to follow it as you listen to it on YouTube or Spotify. You'll find that quite hard work, but you'll pick up some stuff, I absolutely guarantee that. You can work on other piano skills like improvisation. Obviously, I haven't mentioned improvisation in this series of beginners tutorials, but I have hundreds of tutorials on improvisation on my YouTube channel, and I keep releasing them 2 or 3 times a month. Have a look at those. What else can you do? You could join a choir, join an SATB choir that works from written scores, okay? That's about the best way I know to improve your overall musicianship and to improve your sight reading. You could have a go at songwriting and composition. Yeah, you'll learn an enormous amount about music by trying to create your own. You could even try learning another instrument, take up the trombone or something. It's all about making yourself a well-rounded musician rather than just someone who can just do a few things on the piano. And you will find that learning things in one area of music feeds into other areas of music in surprising ways. Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily think that being in a choir would help your piano playing, but it will. Sixth and finally, please look after your hands and fingers. I've had problems with a repetitive strain injury for years, and although I've learned to manage it pretty well, it would have been better if I'd never had it to start with, okay? So don't over practice. Always warm up, and if you have a job that involves a lot of typing, make sure you're not doing that in a way that's going to mess up your hands. If you ever Google around about RSI and good typing practice and stuff like that, you'll find loads of resources out there that will tell you how not to make a mess of your hands with typing and other kind of manual activities. The main way to look after yourself is to know your limits and not overdo anything. Piano practice, typing, whatever it happens to be. I know that sounds like the kind of advice that your dad might give you, but it really is important. Do take care of yourself. So that's it. But as I said, it's hardly the end, it's just the beginning. Please keep following my regular YouTube videos, and as I said, there will be occasional add-ons to this series posted. You've got lots and lots of stuff that you can be working on. Please let me know how you're getting on. Email me, post comments on the videos, maybe even post videos of you playing for yourself. And don't forget to check out my Patreon page, as I said, www.patreon.com/BillHilton, and also my Facebook and my Twitter. All the links that you need are in the description text right underneath this video. There you go. Happy piano playing.